Hey guys, it is time for us to take a look at MOONRAKERS, and this is a game published by IV Games, and it is a game of shipbuilding, temporary alliances, and shrewd negotiation.
Ooh.
So there is a lot of deck building component of this game as well. And if you can't tell, it is a spacefaring adventure.
Therefore,
It's in space.
right up her alley.
I like space games. But do I like this game? You'll have to stay to the end to see. So this plays 1 to 5 players, and it says around 1 to 2 hours. So we're going to take a brief look at how to play, a little overview, and then we'll come back up with our thoughts. MOONRAKERS is a game of shipbuilding, temporary alliances, and shrewd negotiation set in a spacefaring future. It's a deck building game in which players choose contracts to attempt alone or with allies in order to gain prestige and credits. There are several components to this game. So you have the armory, which consists of the action deck of crew members, ship parts, and also tons of metal coins. Then each player has their own board, which is called the command terminal, where you will be trying to upgrade and get ship parts and your own cards and money. Then there's hazard dice that will be rolled in this game. And then you have the dispatch, where the contracts are stored and put out, objectives, and where you keep track of the prestige. Each player is trying to be the first one to reach 10 prestige, and players will take turns as playing as the mission leader. And each turn has 3 phases: planning, execution, and buying. For the planning phase, there are 2 options you can take. You can either work toward a contract or stay at base. Staying at base will give you credits and let you draw objectives, but you won't be achieving any of these contracts. But if you wanted to go for a contract, you'd have to decide if you want to go for it alone or try to get allies to help you defeat the contract. These contracts have different types of information on it. Up here is what you'll get if you defeat the contract. So this would be 3 prestige and 4 coins. But in order to defeat it, 2 hazard dice will have to be rolled. And then you have to have 4 reactors and 4 thrusters combined with just you and or your allies to defeat this contract. Each player has a deck of 10 cards to start the game, which consists of some miss cards, shield cards, thruster cards, reactor, and damage. So damage lets you obviously do 1 damage, reactors give you 2 actions, thrusters let you draw 2 cards, and shield will block hazard dice, and miss, well, nothing. Once the planning phase is over, you move to the execution phase, which starts with rolling hazard dice. So let's say a couple people allied and were trying to defeat this contract. Let's say each person took 1 hazard dice. So each person would have to roll 1 hazard dice. And then, depending on what you rolled, you have to potentially try to block it. So if you have rolled a hazard, that means you will lose 1 prestige unless you can block it with a shield, which is this type of card here. So for this contract, between the 2 players that allied, a total of 4 reactor cards and 4 thruster cards need to be played in order to defeat this contract. So the allied players are going to use their turns to try to achieve the contract. So let's say this player, the blue player, wants to go first. So every player starts their turn, the execution phase, with 1 action. So if I play this, then that's going to give me 2 actions, okay? And then if I wanted to play this, now I have 3 actions that I can do. And let's say this player wanted to do this. So now I'm down to 2 actions, but this lets me draw 2 cards, which this player does. And then, if you remember, they had rolled a hazard dice, so we want to make sure to block a hazard. And so that is 1 action left. And let's say they actually drew another reactor. So now we're down to 2 actions. And this player can also do this card that they had in their hand, which is another 2 cards they draw. And they're down to 1 action, which they will play. They don't really have anything great left. It's just some damage and shields, nothing that works toward this card. So they'll just kind of play whatever. So for this contract that the allied players are working toward, this player contributed 3 reactors and 2 thrusters. Okay, and obviously that's not everything that's needed, but the other player happened to play a reactor and 2 thrusters, so that defeats this. And this player had done a shield to negate the hazard dice they rolled, so this player did not lose in prestige. And depending on what was negotiated, these rewards would be split up. After the execution phase is over, you move to the buying phase, where the mission leader has the opportunity to buy a crew member or ship parts. The cost is on the lower right-hand corner. Now, crew members are going to have different benefits that are going to help you play throughout the game. Ship parts are going to have upgrades that you can put toward your ship, and each player has 4 spots available. These will give you abilities also throughout the game. Players will keep taking turns being the mission leader until one player has achieved 10 prestige at the end of any player's turn, and they would win the game. Moonrakers! Woo! Okay, so overall, my opinion is one of positivity.
Positivity.
I like this game a lot. So first off, let me start with the production quality. I love the aesthetic, the production quality. Oh my gosh, the coins, the metal coins, the metal credits, or I should say credits. Great. I love the design on the cards. I love the color scheme. I love everything about how this game looks.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the artwork for sure. Metal coins, well, okay, cool.
No, the metal coins or the credits are amazing.
They're cool, but I think the artwork just really makes this game.
Yeah, the production of this game is outstanding. Love it. So, for me, it's kind of interesting because I typically don't like highly interactive games, or especially games where you negotiate and stuff like that. I typically don't like that stuff. But it's so interesting because I actually really like that in this game. I was so surprised when the very first time I played this, I think a friend of ours got back the first Kickstarter run, and I played it with him, and at first I was like, I don't know, I don't really like lots of interaction, negotiation, but I do like space games. I gave it a try, and I was so surprised how much I really liked this. So for the negotiation, did you kind of like that at all?
I thought the negotiation was pretty cool. So, you kind of are trying to divvy things up a little bit, and, you say, okay, if I do this part, like if you're trying to split the hazard dice, right? Trying to split the hazard dice, say, oh, you take one of these, I take one of these, and then we'll take the rewards split this way, and it's interesting. And you're hoping that the other person can help you. You don't know 100%, but you kind of communicate about like
what types of cards.
Can you help me with this type of card? Can you do?
But you can never necessarily fully trust them because you can lie in this game. Because I have had one of the objectives be purposely fail a contract. Yeah. So you have to somewhat trust your allies. It's yeah. So I also found it fun to try to figure out, okay, do I want to somewhat risk and do a contract on my own, or do I want to go ahead and get some allies to kind of help me out to kind of more make sure that I'm gonna complete it?
Yeah. Because you might, if you take it all on your own, then you take all of the risk of all of the hazard dice, right? And whether that's one, two, three, depends. And you know what you have in your hand, so you know whether you have the capacity to cover all of those hazard dice, including some of your other abilities that you've built throughout the game. But
I will say I might have taken a few risks here and there where I might have wanted to do a contract on my own. May not. So say a contract I had to roll 2 hazard dice. Each dice can possibly have 2 hits.
Right.
So, I've been a little risky sometimes. So if I roll 2 dice, I may not have. I know I may not have 4 shields to kind of block it. But a little risk every now and then to try to get all the goods, all the rewards to yourself, and not split them out is fun. But some of the contracts, some of the cards are so hard, you have to split them up. Because it's like tons of hazard dice, tons of different, conditions that have to be met. You have to partner up. There's no way you can do it by yourself.
Yeah, there's just no way. And, another thing that I really liked about this game was the deck building component of it. And, you can build your deck with new member cards that are out there kind of for everybody to get if you have enough credits to purchase them. So you can go and get member or crew member cards that you add into your deck that can give you special abilities as you play them out. And then also there's the ship part cards that you put onto your board that give you special abilities during the game as well. So there's a lot of little special abilities that you can have. The crew member cards come out whenever you play it, but those special abilities, the ship parts are kind of always there.
I think we played one game with my cousin, and I think he had a ship part that always gave him an extra action.
Right.
And then that was nice.
Yeah.
Because you always start your turn with one action. So in order for you to keep playing cards, you got to keep playing, cards that are going to give you more actions. So and with that, I feel like every time we played, whenever someone's going and playing their cards, someone else always has to kind of like we end up holding up our fingers like,
we're keeping
all right,
track.
you're at 3 actions. Okay, now you're at 2. Oh, but now you're at 4. So like, someone always has to keep track of the action count because when you're playing, I just can't keep track of it. So we always found that helpful to do.
It gets a little complicated if you're just trying to keep track of it on your own.
Yeah, but I mean, guys, overall, I love this game. This is a great one. I believe they're coming out with another Kickstarter run with some expansion material. I'm not sure exactly when that's happening, but I think it's coming out, or that's going to be launching soon-ish, maybe. I don't know the exact time, but stay tuned because, guys, this is definitely one to get, in my opinion. I really like that. Especially if you like space themes, this is one to check out. But even if you don't like negotiation and a lot of interaction, because I'm typically like that, it still might be worth giving it a shot. For some reason, I found this really enjoyable and, kind of negotiating with the friends. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I really like that. So even if you don't like that mechanic, maybe still give it a shot because I'm like that and I liked it. So, yeah.
And I enjoyed it too. So, and I actually won it the first time that I played it. And it was kind of surprising that I did that, but anyway, I've enjoyed this game quite a bit, so I'm a big fan.
Yeah, so I think this technically the player count's 1 to 5. We've only played 3 and 4 player games, so I don't know what, I don't even know that I've really wanted to try solo because I don't know with the negotiation game I feel like there's more this interaction that you need, but. I don't know if it's good or not. This was the 1-player game. I think the 2-player game has a little modification as well. But I also think a 5-player game would be too long.
It seems like it would take
I think 3 and 4 is where it's at.
Because each player has to take a turn, and those turns can last a little while if they go.
But you can technically put a timer on, so for the negotiation phase if you want to make sure it's, getting going.
True.
But yeah, guys. Overall, stay tuned. For that Kickstarter. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but Moonrakers, published by IV Games. I highly recommend it, guys. Check it out.